what's up? Welcome back to The Mandatory. If you've been rocking with the show, make sure to hit that like and subscribe button. If you haven't already, please do. It helps the channel grow. Also, you can find us on the audio side as well. So wherever you find your podcast, we are there. You can also leave a rate and review. We would appreciate it. Leave us a 5-star and follow us on our social media channels. We're at The Mandatory TKO. We're on Twitter, Instagram, everything. So make sure you give us a follow there. And thank you to everyone that's been rocking with us. So we've got a very, very big fight that's coming up this weekend. Probably, I wouldn't say the last one of the year because there's some big heavyweight fights coming up. Inoue's fighting again before the end of the year. But this one I feel like is pretty massive because 140, Bryan, is wide open. Right. So I'm talking about Devin Haney and Regis Prograis. And this is going to be a great fight. But before we get into all the betting, we have to talk about what happens next if one of these guys ends up winning. So let's start off by talking about none other than Devin Haney. He's moving up a weight class to fight at 140. He vacated his titles, and now he's going to be fighting Regis Prograis at 140 pounds in the Bay Area. Bryan, my question to you is, what happens if Devin Haney beats Regis Prograis?
Well, it's interesting because Devin Haney is an undisputed lightweight champion, moved up to 140, which we all kind of thought. I mean, he looked pretty big even in the Vasily Lomachenko fight. And he looks like somebody who I think is going to get to 147 after a stay at 140. I don't think he's going to be long for even 140 because there's some potential for him at 147. However, the power comes into question, which we'll get into. And I think if he does win, how, depending on how, is really what I'll be looking toward, because I don't think he wins by stopping Regis Prograis. I think he wins by outboxing him. I think he wins tactically. He's won something like 7 straight fights by decision. His last knockout was a little over 4 years ago, actually. It was pre-COVID. It was a little over 4 years ago. And I don't think all of a sudden he's going to move up to a weight class and then walk down and finish Regis Prograis, who has never been dropped before in his career, who's never been stopped, obviously, before in his career. And you could argue should be undefeated because there was that fight against Josh Taylor where, Josh Taylor got a favorable decision. I think if you run that back, Regis Prograis might even be the slight betting favorite. I think he'd be the betting favorite, especially after Josh Taylor's performance against Teofimo Lopez. But if Devin Haney wins, this is one of the best wins on his resume for sure. I may even argue that it's the best win on his resume, save for Vasily Lomachenko in terms of name, in terms of overall skill level. I think those would be the best two guys, but Regis is much bigger than Lomachenko and is a natural 140, whereas Lomachenko was fighting a couple weight classes above where he first debuted. So I think this would cement Devin Haney, and as far as all your pound for pound lists, it automatically could make him the best at 140, depending on how you look at him and Teofimo Lopez. But I think right now, the 140 class to me is Regis Prograis, Teofimo Lopez, in whatever order. And where Regis Prograis is will, depend on this performance. But if Devin Haney wins and wins convincingly, you're going to have a strong case for him being number one. And at the very least, you're going to have the strong case for wanting to see him fight Teofimo Lopez next. Now, I don't know if that's going to happen, but that'll be the fight to make after this.
Yeah, I think if Devin Haney beats Regis Prograis, it's pretty interesting because obviously coming up, he was undisputed at lightweight, but he really wasn't given that respect because, as you know, at one point, Teofimo Lopez was saying that he was an email champion. And if you know what that means, it's happened recently with Jaron Ennis as well. You could say that he's an email champ, but nonetheless, Devin Haney, he dominated, I believe, in the lightweight division. And despite whether you're a fan of him or not, the way that he fights, I think this fight is really important for him because I don't think he gets the respect that he deserves, especially after the Lomachenko fight. because a lot of people thought he lost that fight. That was a controversial fight, whether you thought he won it or not. I thought Devin Haney did enough to win it, but that was a fight where a lot of people felt that Loma won. So a lot of people do not like Devin Haney, and that's not a surprise. But if he goes into this weight class at 140 pounds, arguably the most interesting weight class, and dominates against Regis Prograis, some people were keeping him off the pound for pound list when he was undisputed at lightweight, keeping him off the top 5, which I thought was disrespectful because that's a very, very entertaining division. If he goes into 140, this division, and dominates against a guy like Regis Prograis, who's been in that division, who is proven in that division, I think everyone just has to shut up and say that Devin Haney is that guy. Because other people are coming in, walking, and being like, you know what, Shakur beats him easily. I don't think so. I really don't think that happens. Devin Haney is that good. So I think if he beats Regis Prograis, this just solidifies his star more. And sure, some people don't like his fight style because they could say it's a little bit boring. Some people might also say that he has pillow fists. But we're going to see what happens in this fight at 140. And I just think he becomes a bigger superstar if he beats Regis Prograis. And then we possibly could get a fight with him and Teofimo Lopez, which would be absolutely massive because these two guys have been going at it for years now. So I think there's a lot of potential for Devin Haney to not only become a bigger face in the sport, because I would say some casual fans are still learning about him. They're not actually the biggest Devin Haney fans. They're still learning about him. Obviously, there's the superstars like Canelo and Bud. Spence is a superstar. I don't think Devin Haney's there yet, but he should be. So I think if he goes and wins this fight convincingly, I think that grows his star, but then he gets bigger fights, massive fights, makes a lot of money. So if anything, this is a win situation for a guy like Devin Haney, but he has to get it done against Regis Prograis. I don't even think he has to convincingly beat him. I think if he just goes in and beats Regis Prograis, that's impressive enough because obviously I'm very high on a guy like Regis Prograis. You're muted. There you go. Can hear you now.
Yeah, Restream is doing some weird shit behind the scenes in terms of like the production. Like they added some shit that I don't like, so we'll talk about that after. But anyway, the interesting thing about this is both guys are coming off of underwhelming victories where Regis Prograis won a split decision against Danielito Zorrilla, a fight that some people thought Zorrilla should have won. I disagree, but I do think it was closer than some scorecards and two of the scorecards suggested. And Devin Haney was playing with fire in the Vasily Lomachenko fight. Nailed the prediction. However, there are a lot of people that thought Lomachenko should have won that fight. We disagree. We do have some comments before we get into what if Regis Prograis wins this, but we do have some people showing up. Anthony Beck says, what's good? Shout out to you, Anthony. Thank you for checking in. IMPK contributes. If Haney wins, he fights the winner of Rolly Romero and Ryan Garcia. Now, we don't know if that fight's going to be made. We don't know if that fight's going to be made.
And let's be serious. Like, Ryan's going to win that fight. And Haney and Ryan Garcia have been going at it for a really long time, too. So that could be another massive fight. But I think the bigger fight to make would be Haney and Teofimo Lopez. That would be the fight I'd rather see, to be honest with you.
Or Haney and Shakur, but I don't think Shakur Stevenson is going to move up to 140 anytime soon. I also think that Haney and Shakur could be a fight where we all lose because I'm not sure how interesting that's going to be in the ring for a large amount of people. But I'd watch the fight. Obviously, it could be tactically, it could be beautiful, or it could be very, very, very underwhelming in terms of action for a lot of people. That guy Trouble says, what's up, family? Finally caught alive, and also follows up, Haney is ready for 147. I was alluding to that earlier, and I would agree. I think he's going to be there. I still think he's too big, even for 140. I think a lot of people are waiting on Boots to move up to 154 before they make the move at 147. I do think Boots is going to be 154 at some point, but not yet. He still has, I think, at least a couple years at welterweight, at least. I hope so.
I think Devin Haney has a couple of years at 142. Like, I don't think he makes that move right away, just because I think Devin Haney, his mindset, he probably wants to be undisputed at 140. He did it at 135. He wants to make those fights. Like, I think we also have to give Devin Haney props for taking this fight against Regis Prograis. He could have fought somebody else at 140 and had a tune-up, but he didn't. So I think we got to give him some props. Not afraid to fight a guy like Regis.